Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Star Midday News. And coming up in the bulletin, Electoral Commission orders court orders Electoral Commission to collate and declare parliamentary results of Nsawam Dredri and Ablekuma North constituencies as it orders IGP to provide adequate security for the coalition. Will be live in court for the very latest. Also in the bulletin, Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adam yet to arrive in Parliament for the presentation of the expenditure in advance of appropriation. Also ahead of the bulletin, financial analyst and banking consultant Dr. Richmond Itiahene challenges assertion by the finance minister that the economy is solid, arguing the recent positive outlook is artificial.
It is only because the IMF money came in and also you have not been paying your debt, principal and interest. So building up the reserves, immediately we go building we started paying. There will be nothing like giving 3.5 billion for us.
And later on, President-elect John Dramani Mahama's Operation Recover All Loot team announces secure channels for reporting suspected corruption cases. Details of these stories and many more, including sports and what is trending or coming up in the next 30 minutes. Stay tuned in. Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA, also live on Facebook on Star 1035 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch. You're welcome once again to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. Also coming to you live from our studios at the Platinum Place in Accra. Let's bring you the details of our stories now. And the High Court in Accra has ordered the Electoral Commission to proceed to collate and declare the parliamentary elections results for Nsawam Dredri and Ablekuma North constituencies. Now, the court, presided over by Justice Reverend Joseph Edu Ewusu Ajiman, also ordered the Inspector General of Police to provide adequate security to the Electoral Commission at all collation centers. Now, the order of the court was made a while ago following an application from the incumbent Member of Parliament for Nsawam Dredri and the NPP candidate for Ablekuma North to compel the EC to collate and declare the results. Let's go over the telephone line and speak to Mutala Inusa, legal affairs correspondent, for some more in relation to this. Mutala.
Hello, Nandidi.
Yes, so what are the details of this order from the court?
Well, Nandidi, if you come to the High Court right now, it's an interesting thing to behold police officers, party supporters, and in fact, the court dealing with the matter is heavily crowded. And what is clear is that there are two different cases before the court. Let me walk you through the very first one. It is a mandamus application filed by the 5 parliamentary candidates of the New Patriotic Party, the affected constituencies as we do know. And what court they sought to do is that particular motion is asking the court to compel the Election Commission to seek to recollect those areas that have already declared and those areas that have not
Star
declared
103.5 FM
and declare the results. And by way of the that particular application, the Electoral Commission did not oppose to that. The EC lawyers did not oppose to that. And the EC did not oppose to that. The court is of the view that election has been held 7th December is just at January is just at the corner. Parties, parliamentary candidates ought to be sworn in and all that. And so, for adequate preparations to be made and all that, the court is compelled, ordering the electoral commission in respect of the Insawem Adreji constituency, the court to recollect or collect and declare the results. The same thing to Ablikuma North. The court to the electoral commission, I beg your pardon, to continue to do that and declare the results. Similar applications or requests were made in relation to Ahafwano and North, where Eric Ajiman Sempe was the parliamentary candidate, and Patrick Yabuama of Okaiko Central also made a similar prayer. Martin Ajekosa also made a prayer in relation to Techiman South, then Charles Thornton, Tema Central. All of them also moved that particular application before the court. But what is interesting now is that the NDC, led by ABG Samako, in the course of all that, it raised an objection and said that, look, we have an application earlier, and that application is seeking to urge the EC not to recollect or declare those results because it has earlier been dealt with. So the tangent or the position taken by the court, if the court did not hear their side of the story first, it will mean that by the time the court will be hearing their side of the story, these orders have already been made. It became an issue between the judge and ADC, and at the point in time, the court will have to make the point that I did not run proceedings like this in my court. But what is also interesting, apart from the two, Ablikman North and then Sawem Adreji, that the court was categorically clear that the EC should recollect or choose to collect an order to declare the results. The remaining, i.e., Tema Central, Tetima North, Ahafwanu North, the court hasn't said anything as I'm talking to you now. We don't know whether those ones have also been accepted or not. What is also key now is that Lawrence already did have not had the opportunity to also move their motion, which is seeking the Electoral Commission not to recollect or redeclare that for those particular seats in the affected area where, especially, we have seen Baba Sadiq, Rabna Obin, Domi Kwabinya, and then the other, the Kuma Central and North and all of that. That is currently happening where Edith Tamazin has just finished. And in fact, we've made available the videos of the returning officers, EC's returning officer declaring the results and is urging the court to have them played in open court. The EC is currently responding to that. And before I came out to speak to you, what Justin Amenibo is saying is that that particular application brought by the NDP is premature because what is happening currently is still a process. The EC is still dealing with the election. We are not done with it. So that should not be the case. So in the coming hours, we will know what's the pleasure and the position of the court, especially having earlier made an earlier declaration in the Mandemos application by the NPP side.
All right. Thank you very much, Mutala Inusa. That is our legal affairs correspondent, bringing us the details of what transpired in court in relation to this case in question. Now, we will remain with the NDC a while longer because the Eastern Regional Secretariat of the party has refuted the EC's claim on 4 parliamentary seats in the region. Although the EC claims the declarations for the Fanteakwa North, Insawame Drejiri, Akwetia, and Suhim constituencies were done illegally, the NDC says that they hold a contrary view. Eastern Regional Secretary of the party, Baba Jamal Kone, will be joining me over the telephone line with regard to what their issues are, or in response to what the announcement of the Electoral Commission was yesterday. You're still listening to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. We have been talking about the constituencies that the Electoral Commission said it would not uphold, and also went to the courts where the High Court has ordered that the EC go ahead with a coalition exercise for the Insawame Drejiri constituency, and then also was asked that the police give them adequate security. You're still listening to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. Let's now head to Parliament, where Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam is expected today in the House to lay the expenditure in advance of appropriation, in which the government is requesting for over 68 billion cedis. For the first quarter of 2025, well, there was drama in Parliament yesterday when the Minority Leader, Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen, made a bizarre request to be allowed to lay the mini-budget on behalf of President Akufo-Addo. Well, the Finance Minister for the fourth time failed to show up in Parliament yesterday, a development likely to lead to a government shutdown at the beginning of next year. As we do understand, the Finance Minister is not yet in the chamber. He is expected in the chamber soon to carry out this constitutional duty. But while we wait to connect with Ibrahim Alassan, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, let's hear the Minority Leader, Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen, in relation to the expenditure in advance of appropriation, his comments, and then the failure of the Finance Minister to show up.
Mr. Speaker, the expenditure in advance of appropriations for January to March 2025, Mr. Speaker, can be laid by any member on behalf of the minister responsible for finance. Mr. Speaker, copies are before us. I have a copy. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you also have a copy. And I think this is not the presentation itself. It's laying of papers. Mr. Speaker, there are occasions, instances that papers have been laid on behalf of a minister of state. In the same vein, we have a minister for tourism before us. Mr. Speaker, he is the available leader, and he's a minister for tourism, a cabinet minister. Mr. Speaker, I urge him to lay it on behalf of the minister responsible for finance. But if you don't want to do it, I can do it on your behalf.
That's the Minority Leader, Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen. Let's go over the telephone line and speak to our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Ibrahim Alassan, for some more in relation to this. So, Ibrahim, is the Finance Minister in now? The last time we checked, he was yet to arrive.
Not yet in, but of course, the assurance is that no matter what happens, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam will show up today in Parliament to undertake one singular activity, and that is to initiate the process for the approval of over 68 billion Ghana cedis as expenditure in advance of appropriation. Subsequently, Parliament will give approval for President Akufo-Addo and, for that matter, President Mahama to be able to dip their hands into the consolidated fund and spend after the expiration of the Appropriation Act passed early this year, after the presentation of the 2024 budget. And so, yes, yesterday there were threats that if he fails to do that before the House goes on break for the Christmas, he could face some jail term because this is a constitutional requirement that in every election year, the Finance Minister, on behalf of the President, is expected in Parliament not to present the budget, but to request for approval for some amount of money to be spent in January, February, and then March of the ensuing year, because usually during election years, the finance ministers do not present a budget. As a result of the uncertainty that we have also just witnessed before going to the polls, the MPP was in power. Next year, the NDC will be in power. And it's this reason why there's this provision in the Constitution. So that's exactly what is expected to happen today. Now, finally, as a result of the delay, the House, which had been programmed to rise today, will not rise today, but it will rather rise tomorrow, because after the movement of the mini-budget, it will have to be referred to the committee, Finance Committee, Budget Committee. Its report will have to come to the plenary for an approval. That cannot happen today, or only today. So therefore, Speaker had indicated that the House will have to rise tomorrow, Saturday.
What else is happening on the floor of the House at the moment?
Well, sitting has not even commenced, Narede, and it's typical. Yesterday, same thing happened. It was after 1 p.m. when sitting commenced. As you are aware, there are just a few items on the order paper. Prominent among them is the expenditure in lieu of appropriation we have mentioned. Again, finally, the Ghana Boundaries Bill has been passed. the EPA bill, there was an attempt to pass it yesterday. It couldn't see the light of day, but it's expected to be done today. And then two bills are on the table of Parliament relative to transition, and one seeking to get a speaker elected a day ahead of the swearing in of the president. Will all be taken today and tomorrow before the House rises.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Alassane. That is our parliamentary affairs correspondent. Let's bring you some other stories and talk about the economy. And financial analyst and banking consultant Dr. Richmond Ituahene has challenged the sessions by the finance minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, that the economy is solid and strong. Now, he argues that the recent positive outlook is artificial. Already, President-elect John Dramani Mahama has emphasized on several occasions that he will be inheriting a weak and sick economy, contrary to what the finance minister has been saying. Speaking on the Morning Star with me, Nadidi Tete, Dr. Ituahene argued that the resilient outlook painted by the finance minister is synthetic.
How can you describe a bankrupt economy or insolvent economy as strong? And I think he takes his variable from only the reserves that we have studied. And these are all coming from documents from either IMF or the World Bank that we have. We can pay 3.5 months reserve of your 8 billion. The fact is that since you have suspended paying interest and principal on the debt, all these things have helped up to beef up the foreign reserves. Immediately you started paying your debt in 2026, 2025, 2027 going. You may not even have 4 billion left in your coffers. The reason being is that the reserve that the minister was talking about, it is because we haven't been paying our debt, not because we have exported more cocoa or gold or diamond or non-traditional. If you haven't done that and you're not paying, and you're only judging your economy by the fact of only the reserve, which the reserve accumulation is also due to the IMF injection that they've been doing. They were giving us about 1.76 billion, and they restricted us. They restricted us not to dissipate the money. So these monies have been kept in escrow accounts. So that reserves is not cocoa you have sold. Number one, it's not gold you have sold. Number two, it's not the remittances you have captured. Number three, it's not the non-traditional export you have done. It is only because the IMF money came in, and also you have not been paying your debt, principal, and interest. So building up the reserves, immediately we go building we started paying. There will be nothing like even 3.5 billion for us. So from the metrics and what I have, I find it very difficult. I find it very, very difficult. I was only surprised that IMF came in later to tell that the economy is fragile. This statement should have been made even before the elections to give us a true position of the economy.
You heard the banking consultant and financial analyst, Dr. Richmond Ituahene. Let's talk about elections. Go back and talk about elections. And the Electoral Commission has once again come under heavy criticism over its decision to reject the results of some 9 constituencies. According to the Commission, it would not uphold the declaration of the parliamentary results in the said constituencies because the coalition and declaration did not follow the laid-down procedures enshrined in CI 127, which is the law that regulates the country's presidential and parliamentary elections. The chairperson of the EC, Jean Adukwe-Mensah, at a press conference on Thursday, heaped blame on the Election Security Task Force for failing to protect its staff, leading to the forced coalition and declaration of parliamentary results in some constituencies. Now, but the NDC says the Commission does not have the powers to reject results declared at the constituency level. Here is the Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, speaking to Starr News.
She doesn't have that power. Where is she getting that power from? Where is she operating from? Under which law is she operating? Is she saying that she will know uphold those results. She doesn't have that power. She's a returning officer for presidential elections. She's not a returning officer for returning parliamentary elections. If you get it right, she doesn't have that power. We must be very clear. The CI 127 under regulation 43 is very clear who collates parliamentary results and declares it. And if he so does his work and you are not satisfied, the right place for you to go is the court. It's not under Madam Jimensa's office. Otherwise, she will be operating as if she's a Queen Nebuchadnezzar. Where she can sit there, anybody who come and complain, then she say, I'm not upholding you. She doesn't have that power, and we must say it straight to her face. That is why the law court is there. If she thinks that her people, it was done under duress, let the aggrieved parties go to court, and the judge will decide whether actually it was done under duress or the people were forced to declare the results. The evidence will be adduced at court, not under Madam Jimensa's office.
You had there the deputy director of IT and electoral elections for the NDC, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, expressing concerns about that position taken by the Electoral Commission. However, the governing NPP, they have welcomed the decision by the Commission not to uphold the results of these 9 constituencies in contention. Kamal Dean Abdullahi is the Deputy Communications Director of the NPP.
If the Electoral Commission is given the mandate by the Constitution to be the organizers of this election and to be the only institution that has the mandate to declare the results, and the same Electoral Commission comes out to tell you that, look, in some constituencies, about 9 of them, there were instances where their officers declared elections under duress. Of course, if the fish comes from the water to tell you that the crocodile has one eye, you don't have to argue. What I expect is that as key players in this game, the political parties here who are the critical stakeholders, we all have to sit down. The Electoral Commission would have to call a meeting. We discuss it in Georgia at IPAC, and of course look at the way forward or see the way forward to this. So for me, I think that the Electoral Commission has been given the mandate, is the only institution to hold the elections, is the only institution to respond to whatever infractions that we have. If they are coming out to tell that there were some infractions indeed, and for that matter, there needs to be a panacea to these infractions, and this is the way to go. I think that we, the critical stakeholders, must also listen and then kowtow to the law and, of course, get things done in our way or in the way of everybody so that this country will continue to see peace.
You had there Kamal Dean Abdullahi. He's a Deputy Communications Director of the NPP. Let's now bring you the very latest in the world of sports. And Jones Haji is here. Good afternoon to you, Jones. What's in sports?
Good afternoon. We start off from the Ghana Premier League, where tonight Accra Suffolk will take on Brekum Chelsea. And coach of Accra Suffolk, Abubakar Ouattara, says the defeat to Kumasi Asante Kotoko should have been a turning point for the club. But today's game would be a turning point for them, and they are focused on getting all 3 points.
The 3 points, the last time I was telling the players against Kotoko is the one big corner to 10. I think the way when we didn't get the right corner to take the right route, we need to bring the car on the road to look forward. And the motivation is to get the 3 points and follow the competition who are ahead of the league. That's the important things for us. Every match is very, very tough match for us. I tell them, everybody knows, and we motivate the players.
Let's move on to Pando Heart of Lions, who are league leaders in the Ghana Premier League, where coach Bashir Hayford says being on top of the Premier League has no pressure on them, but then they will need to beat Basake Holy Stars to keep on going.
No, the team being at the top of the table does not give any pressure. What the indication is that the boys are trying, they are doing well, because we have not been beaten apart from our first away match. So the spirit is there, very high. It doesn't bring any pressure. Only it bring excitement and encouragement. It inspires the boys that, we can do it. So no pressure so far. Playing a league match, the matches, some will win, some will lose, some will draw. So if they won their last match, it doesn't put any fear into us.
Right, let's end with the draw for the EFL Cup semi-final game, as Newcastle United would take on Arsenal, and then Tottenham Hotspur play Liverpool. That should do it for sports, and it's a Friday. Now they back to you.
Thank you very much, Jones. I can't wait. Thank you for the very latest in the world of sports. And now, let's bring you this one before we wrap up the bulletin. Well, President-elect John Dramani Mahama's Operation Recover or Loot, popularly known as Oral, has announced is secure channels for reporting suspected corruption cases. In a circular signed by the spokesperson of the Mahama transition team, Felix Kwachifosu, they guaranteed the confidentiality of information submitted through the platforms, ensuring that all tips will be treated with the utmost discretion. Here are excerpts of the statement.
The anti-corruption preparatory team set up by President-elect His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has launched various platforms through which members of the public can securely forward information on suspected acts of corruption. Members of the public wishing to share any information on suspected acts of corruption can reach the team on the toll-free number 0800 900 111, 0800 900 111. Its website www.oralgh.org or via email through public@oralgh.org. The public is hereby assured that information sent to the team will be handled expeditiously and with utmost discretion.
You had the details of that statement issued by the Oral team. Well, it was issued by the spokesperson of the transition, Felix Kwachifosu, on behalf of the team Oral. We can hear the PRO for the YE, Awal Mohammed, and a member of the NPP, who says that the initiative is pointless and will not produce any meaningful results.
As my people will say, Emma Kamfu, they are only using it to tarnish the images of people because, you see, they don't have any locus, they don't have any legislative. What they are supposed to do is to pick only information. So today, if I go there and say that Awal is corrupt or this person is corrupt, they will write it. I will not be surprised. Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa will come after 7th and mention people's names and say that they are people that they will go and investigate.
Yeah, and
then they will use that to buy time because they have 25 promises that they said within 120 days they will do. So they wanted us to take that into discussion so that we'll be discussing this. In 2008, you said more than this. You presented cases, you said people were corrupt and so on. Okay. You couldn't jail a single soul.
So you think this will not amount to anything?
It's an exercise in futility.
You heard the PRO of the YEA and a member of the NPP, Awal Mohammed. Well, we can hear from a member of the CPP, Kwame Jantua. Now, he has lauded the initiative of the President-elect John Dramani Mahama. He says that he's supportive of the oral policy. He also spoke on the weekly review segments with me on the Morning Star.
I don't see anything wrong with it. The people have spoken, and the people expect the cathedral to be investigated. I don't have anything wrong with it. The people who the president has, has chosen, do they have locus in terms of ability? Do they have the wherewithal to investigate it? Yes. Okujeto Ablakwa, hasn't he been investigating and telling us some of the corrupt things that have been going on? Domlovo, isn't he an ex-auditor general?
Kofi Boache.
Kofi Boache. Isn't he a police officer who has been part and look?
He was cleared as well.
Look. If we are to talk about the other side on the NPP side, we won't finish today.
We don't have any.
Let's in terms of individuals. You're trying to tell me that is why they are gathering information. That is why they are gathering information. They need to gather the information. At this material moment, people are saying, please, at this material moment, people are saying, but we have the OSP, we have this, we have that, we have this. Why isn't the president-elect giving it to them? It's a question of trust.
You had the leading member of the CPP, Kwame Jantua, effectively bringing today's edition of the Star Midday News to an end. Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Star 1035 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM. Star News. Informed, in depth, in touch. For more news, do log on to starfm.com.gh. My name is Nadidi Teti. Thank you very much for your company. Have a good afternoon and enjoy your weekend.